Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Jay, and this is ASMR World News. Today on ASMR World News, we begin a new series titled, What is That Mental Health Disorder? In which we give you a full explanation of a range of mental health disorders so that we may one day better understand and become more aware of those who may be suffering all around us. Today we are going to start off with abuse and what exactly it entails. I hope you enjoy this new series, but most importantly, learn something new. So let us begin. Abuse is a complex psychological problem that affects large numbers of adults as well as children throughout the world. Although abuse was first defined with regards to children when it first received attention during the 1950s, clinicians and researchers now recognize that adults can also suffer abuse in a number of different circumstances. Abuse refers to harmful or injurious treatment of another human being that may include physical, sexual, verbal, psychological, emotional, intellectual, or spiritual maltreatment. Abuse may also coexist with neglect, which is defined as a failure to meet a dependent person's basic physical and medical needs, emotional deprivation, and or desertion. Neglect is sometimes described as passive abuse. The cost of abuse to society runs into billions of dollars annually within the United States alone. This cost not only includes direct costs of immediate medical attention, but also psychiatric treatment of abused people who also the indirect costs of learning difficulties, interrupted education, and work placement absenteeism, and long-term health problems of abuse survivors. What types of abuse are there? The first type of abuse is physical. Physical abuse refers to striking or beating another person with your hands or an object, but also may include assault with a knife, gun, or other weapon. Physical abuse also includes such behaviors as locking someone in a closet or other small place, depriving someone of sleep, burning, gagging, or tying them up. Physical abuse of infants may include shaking them, dropping them on the floor, or throwing them against the wall or a hard object. The next type of abuse is sexual abuse. Sexual abuse refers to inappropriate sexual contact between a child or an adult and someone who has a kind of family or professional authority over them. Sexual abuse may include verbal remarks, fondling or kissing, or attempted or completed intercourse. Sexual contact between a child and a biological relative is known as incest. Although some therapists extend this term to cover sexual contact between a child and any trusted caregiver, including relatives by marriage. Girls are more likely than boys to be abused sexually. According to a conservative estimate, 38% of girls and 16% of boys are sexually abused before the age of their 18th birthday. The next type of abuse is verbal abuse. abuse. Verbal abuse refers to the irregular and consistent belittling, name-calling, labeling, or ridicule of another person, but also may include spoken threats. It is one of the most difficult forms of abuse to prove because it does not leave any physical scars or other evidence, but it is nonetheless hurtful. Verbal abuse may occur in school or workplaces as well as in families. Emotional and psychological is the next form of abuse. Emotional and psychological abuse covers a wide variety of behaviors that hurt or injure others, even though no physical contact may be involved. In fact, emotional abuse is a strong predicator than physical abuse of the likelihood of suicide attempts later in life. One form of emotional abuse involves the destruction of someone's pet or valued possession in order to cause pain. Another abusive behavior is emotional blackmail, such as threatening to commit suicide unless the other person does what is wanted. Other behaviors in this category include silent treatment, shaming or humiliating someone in front of others, or punishing them for receiving an award of honor. The next form of abuse is intellectual and spiritual abuse. Intellectual and spiritual abuse refers to such behaviors as punishing someone for having a different intellectual interest or religious belief from another in the family, preventing them from attending worship services, ridiculing them for their opinion, and alike. Though a very short presentation of intellectual and spiritual abuse, this often more than not leaves severe scars in those individuals who experience this type of abuse. The next type of abuse is child abuse. Child abuse first attracted national attention in the United States in the 1950s, where a Denver pediatrician named C. Henry Kemp began publishing his findings regarding an X-ray which showed intentional injuries to small children. Kemp's research was followed by numerous investigations of other signs of child abuse and neglect, including learning disorders, malnutrition, failure to thrive, conduct disorders, emotional retardation, and sexually transmitted diseases in very young children. Statistics from the mid-1990s indicate that although child abuse is found at all levels of income and education achievement in the United States, children born into poor families are 12 times more likely to be abused than children of the middle class or wealthy families. And this is without regard to race or ethnic background. 25% of children who are abused or neglected are younger than 2 years of age. Both sexes are equally affected. As of 2000, between 1,000 and 1,200 children a year die in the United States as a result of physical abuse. Of those who survive, 20% suffer permanent physical injury. Children who suffer from birth defects, developmental delays, or chronic illnesses have a higher risk of being abused by parents or other caregivers. The next form of abuse is the adult abuse. The women's movement in the 1960s led not only to the greater recognition of domestic violence and other forms of abuse to adults, but also to research the factors of a wider society that perpetuates abusive attitudes and behaviors. As of 2002, women are still more likely than men to be targets of abuse in their adult life. Now we will be moving into subsections of adult abuse. Firstly, we have domestic violence. Domestic violence refers to the physical and emotional or sexual abuse of a spouse or domestic partner. Early research into the problem of wife battering focused on middle-class couples, but it has since been recognized that spousal abuse occurs among wealthy professional couples as well. In addition, studies done in the late 1980s and 1990s indicate that domestic violence also occurs among gay and lesbian couples. It is estimated that 4 million women in the United States are involved in an abusive marriage or relationship. Moreover, most female murder victims are killed by their spouse or partner rather than by strangers. Domestic violence illustrates the tendency of abusive people to attack anyone they perceive as vulnerable. Most men who batter women also abuse their children. Some battered women abuse their children, and abusive humans are frequently cruel to animals. Elder abuse is next on the line. Elder abuse has also become a subject of national concern in the past 2 decades. As older adults are living longer, many become dependent for years on adult caregivers who may be either their own adult children or nursing home personnel. Care of an elderly person can be extremely stressful, especially if the older adult is suffering from dementia. Elder abuse can include physical hitting or slapping, withholding their food or medication, tying them to a chair or bed, neglecting to bathe them or help them to the toilet, taking their personal belongings, which includes money or property, and restricting or cutting off their contact with friends and relatives. Next is abusive professional relationships. Adults can also be abused by sexually exploitative doctors, such as therapists, clergy, and a general health physician. Although instances of this type of abuse were dismissed prior to the 1980s as consensual participation in sexual activity, most professionals now recognize that these cases actually reflect the practitioner's abuse of social and educational power. About 85% of sexual abuse cases in the professionals involve male practitioners and female patients, and the other 3% involved female practitioners and either male or female clients. Ironically, many of these abusive relationships relationships hurt women who sought professional help in order to deal with the effects of childhood abuse. The next form of abuse is stalking. Stalking, or the repeated pursuit or surveillance of another person by physical or electronic means, is now defined as a crime in all 50 states in the United States. Many cases of stalking are extensions of domestic violence, in that the stalker, whom is usually a male, is attempting to track down a wife or girlfriend who left him. However, stalkers may also be casual acquaintances, workplace colleagues, or even total strangers. Stalking may include a number of abusive behaviors, including forced entry into another person's home, destruction of a car or other personal property, anonymous letters to the person's friends or employers, or repeated phone calls, letters, or emails. About 80% of stalking cases reported to the police involve men stalking women. And our final form of abuse is workplace bullying. Workplace bullying is, like stalking, increasingly recognized as interpersonal abuse. It should not be confused with sexual harassment or racial discrimination. Workplace bullying refers to the verbal abuse of other workers, interfering with their work, withholding equipment or other resources they need to do their job, or invading one's personal space, including touching them in a controlling manner. Half of all workplace bullies are women, and the majority, 81%, are bosses or supervisors. But now we have reached the end of today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of ASMR World News. We appreciate your time, and we also value your opinion. If you have something to say or would like to share your own experience with mental health disorders, please leave a comment below, as we would love to hear your story. If you liked today's video,